Nearly everyone suffers social anxiety symptoms at some point in their life, but for some people, this can completely take over, and you may feel depressed, isolated, lonely, paranoid, self-conscious. At the point it interferes with your normal life, it's really a problem. And some people refer to social anxiety as extreme shyness. So if this is you, there is help for overcoming social anxiety and shyness. Shyness often begins in childhood, and it can come from your upbringing, the environment you grew up in, or even can run in a family. Some people have said shyness is genetic. There are many reasons for your shyness. Feeling scared to do or say what you really want is extremely restrictive, with individuals often choosing to opt out from all social situations. Now, for someone trying to help a person overcome social anxiety and shyness, they may feel, like telling the person to sort themselves out by forcing them into situations. But, this isn't as helpful as it may sound. It's actually likely to be more damaging for the person suffering with anxiety. But with the right knowledge and understanding, the majority of people on the journey to overcoming social anxiety, they can gain confidence and feel more comfortable in social situations. So it is possible to get out there, and I'll show you how. Shyness or extreme social anxiety, it has an impact on your entire life, from going out with family or friends, and it also creates difficulties in finding a life partner. So we'll talk about how to overcome some of these challenges. Worrying too much. Being on your own, it can make overcoming social anxiety more difficult. And when you're on your own, your mind has time to wander. And you may, for example, sit and think about your past with unhelpful thoughts about yourself, or others, or just the world in general. When this was me, my confidence in dealing with situations, it reduced greatly. I worried about things and felt very low and anxious, to the point where I thought about, really just, I didn't know where to turn. And the less I did, the worse I felt. And the worse I felt, the less I did. And it just became this vicious cycle. And I want to talk about that. As I said, the less you do to combat shyness and social anxiety, let me rephrase that. Not combat. Deal with, accept, or work around is probably better. You shouldn't look at shyness necessarily as a bad thing. It's more when it is inhibiting you from living, that you need to sort of take charge and, change your mindset a little bit. Basically, the less you do, the worse you feel. And the less I did, the more I worried or chewed over the past. And the more I worried and chewed over the past, the worse I felt. So it's damaging to you, and you don't deserve that. You're as good as anybody else, and you deserve to be the best, treated well by yourself and others. Stand in front of a mirror, look at yourself. You have value, and there are people who love and care about you. And you have to accept yourself first and try to step out of the vicious cycle that you're trapped in. A major hurdle for me was sort of talking it out. To tell one person how I felt, it was a major leap forward. And if walking past someone and having to mutter a basic hello, or giving a passing smile was hard, speaking out to someone, even over a small aspect of social anxiety, it felt like learning to fly a plane. And when I was overcoming social anxiety and shyness, I avoided all possible social situations that I could get away with. And I considered myself not to be good enough. I wasn't good enough in comparison with other people, and to attend an event would spoil it for other people. I mean, it really got to that crazy level. It was easier not to go by avoiding these social situations, these interactions. But you're actually building up the problem, and I explain a little bit more about that and how to combat that in other videos. Great things come from small beginnings, and the same can be applied to overcoming social anxiety and extreme shyness. And one small step can feel like a giant leap, so repeatedly taking that same small step makes that stage manageable, and the anxiety does get reduced. So for example, I was invited to my neighbor's house for a cup of coffee. And the idea of making conversation with a stranger, it really filled me with panic. He knew I was a new neighbor, and What if he met me and conversation just sort of wasn't there? What if there was like just awkward silence? You know, it was just safer to stay at home, you know? So to try to break this cycle, I decided to try and initially force myself to stop when I saw his car pull in. And I used a strategy of sort of counting in my head while thinking about, serene surroundings. I mean, I really used visual imagery to calm myself during these encounters. And initially, I found this technique difficult and strange, but over time, it did calm me. And like once I got into a flow of conversation with him, I was able to sort of let go of the serene thoughts and not have to even use them anymore. At that point, I was conditioned to to have a relationship with my neighbor. Speaking your mind. This is often an area of great difficulty in overcoming social anxiety and shyness. And telling people how you feel, for a lot of sufferers of social anxiety, it's extremely difficult. A good starting point is to make a list of feelings. How many words connected with feelings do you know? And try to start a sentence with I feel. For example, simply telling the neighbor that you feel let down when you didn't get this cool thing that you ordered from Amazon or something, maybe this is a terrible example, but just work feelings into conversations where appropriate, and realize that you have value in the world. Your feelings count. You're important, and remind yourself that you have value and your value is important in taking these first steps to overcoming social anxiety and extreme shyness. I have this great video series for you at my website showing you step-by-step actionable strategies to overcoming social anxiety and getting back into the world. So check it out right now. I'll see you on the other side. Take care. Bye.